today's solo episode, we are going to revisit the possibilities of print. I know we've been kind of dripping this into different episodes over time. I've talked about what we've been able to do with some of our clients, but I want to kind of use this episode as a capstone for how we can think about taking your brand, which probably exists digitally, into a physical manifestation, the things that I'm seeing, that I'm loving, things that we're trying with clients, as well as just maybe a big fat brainstorm to think about how to pivot your time spend when it comes to your marketing into something that has a little bit more longevity than a quick post, a reel, a story, etc. Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. As always, if you are new to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast, please take a second to make sure you're subscribed anywhere you listen to podcasts. Also on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. It helps us so much because there are hundreds, and I'm not joking, hundreds of episodes for you to go back and binge, including expert interviews, client case studies, and solo episodes with yours truly. It really is my favorite resource that we continue to give you guys for free because I love it, but also because I think it keeps my mind sharp and it makes me better at my job to do this every week. So without further ado, I want to spend today talking about print design. If we think back to kind of the landscape, let's say, of what marketing looked like even a decade ago, there's a huge shift from physical to digital. We have the .com boom. You've got everybody has a website, everybody has social. There's so much emphasis put on email, social, digital work that I think print kind of got left behind. And I'll even call that out myself. I started my business in 2014 and I barely had business cards, let alone like letterhead or any kind of brochure or postcard or any kind of print materials. And what happens is that as we lean into 100% digital all the time, as we know, those platforms change and evolve and things in the world change and evolve. And it makes us want to spend less time on our devices. If you're like me, I am really trying to cut down on my screen time. I'm really trying to figure out ways to connect with people in real life and maybe just give myself a break from looking at all these screens because it's hard. It's hard when you do what we do, when you're a service-based business owner, especially if you're working remotely. You are spending a lot of time answering emails in your project management tool, creating your content. Like it gets exhausting to constantly be in front of the digital, that having something that is physical sometimes pulls us out of that rut. So as we spent literally a decade killing print, I think in 2026, brands that are winning attention are the ones that are definitely starting to bring it back to the forefront. In this episode, the real thesis here is that this medium is getting written off too fast. Print is getting written off too fast, and what's working now and how to actually use it as a tool and not just a nostalgia play, but return back to the core of what good print design is supposed to do and how it solves problems for people. So to understand that, we want to make sure that, of course, we have the history and we have the context of why did print die in the first place? Print is not trackable as much as digital is. So that's the asterisk. It's not as scalable. It is not as cheap as doing things digitally, especially for my business where I can work from anyone who lives anywhere at any time. Imagine trying to send a print campaign across the entire world. You couldn't. It would be so cost prohibitive to be able to do that, right? So what the ROI becomes for that argument is that really the digital stuff is going to give you such a better return on your time, energy, effort, spend than a digital campaign. Because of that, social media really kicks off, and social media promises that direct customer access. You can talk to the people that are following you. You can talk to people that you're interested in, who you share audiences with right away. When print, you could by means of like maybe taking out an advertorial or maybe, getting placement in some type of magazine or coupon book, right? But you're going to kind of shot in the dark with that. And then also agencies and brand budgets shift really fast. So print production and knowing what makes for good print work takes a lot of knowledge, and it kind of started disappearing from those creative streams. So again, doing good packaging, doing good print material, understanding how that works, understanding the costs involved, the dye lines, the print, the registration, all of those nitty-gritty pieces that go into good print work, that starts to get lost in the shuffle as people start to switch to digital. The other reason is that the pendulum is going to kind of swing back and forth here. So I think the reason we're coming back around on print is because of AI and because digital content being king for so long, literally since I started my career in 2014, digital, 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 digital. There's been such an emphasis on digital that really now in 2026 is the first time that I'm considering some heavy duty print pieces as part of our arsenal, part of our repertoire. And I think the same goes for our clients. And really, that is just showcasing how things swing back and forth. I think as AI hits the scene, generative AI hits the scene, now what was on social media as like a chance to connect with people and audiences is now just kind of bobbing and weaving, trying to dodge getting hit with AI content or ads. And it's really diminished the user experience of being on Instagram, of being on TikTok, being on Facebook. The quality of those spaces and places has dramatically decreased because the quantity of junk that's on them has increased. So that's driving that user behavior away. So what are we doing instead? Where are the eyeballs going? Where's the time, the energy, the effort in going? Also, because print mail volume has dropped significantly. I used to love going to the mailbox. I kind of loathe going to the mailbox. It's just junk mail, it's coupons. My actual physical magazines and things that I read have gotten so thin as advertisers pull out of those opportunities. So the scarcity of print is what makes it enviable now, right? Like not a lot of people are doing it yet. I think there's that real drop in mail volume has impacted how we think about our mail, how we think about opening the mail, which means that a well executed piece could also really make an impact in an empty inbox. There's less stuff in your mailbox. So if something comes through that's really good, really thoughtful, really well designed, targeted to the right person at the right time, you might have an opportunity on your hands. As we start to think about the 2026 print landscape, here's what we are doing as a team. And here's what I think is working and opportunities that you might not even have thought of yet. The first is luxury direct mail. So if you've noticed brands like Vuori, Serena and Lily, some of these kind of, I would say like upper end brands are actually doing physical print catalogs and not the catalogs of the 90s and the 2000s where you'd like have to fill out an order form on the back. They're doing a catalog that shows you their product, describes the product. You see beautiful imagery, and the call to action is shop on the website. Literally, the call to action on the Vuori magazine is shop on the website. And I even call it a catalog and not a magazine. It's really just here's our products. Don't they look great? Don't you want to look like this person? Go buy it. But Chase Sapphire even sent a magazine. They sent an entire Chase Sapphire Reserve travel magazine, all these interest pieces, La Roche as the center. And it literally looked like magazines I remember getting and reading and flipping through as a kid. And I think that connection to that kind of like direct mail editorialized content is something that really gives you an opportunity to make an impact. So this could be used for high-end hospitality, for real estate, for fashion brands, but think about what it looks like for your service-based business. I think putting together something editorial and long form and physical really just shows an attention to detail that not a lot of brands are willing to go. And I think it really does give you that edge. The physical spec in this case is part of your message. So something I want you to think about with any kind of print piece is that the quality and the texture and the finish and the scale, the size of the thing is also helping you communicate your message. So is it glossy, shiny, perfect? Is it kind of organic and recycled and has like a texture and a grit to it, like a paper? Is there embossing, debossing? Is there pressing? Is there foil? All of that are ways to kind of elevate whatever that print piece is to be more memorable. I also love a print piece that is multifunctional. So creating something that looks beautiful enough to keep it as like an art print on your bulletin board, for example, is a great way to kind of get a double use out of something you're going to send to someone. There's also really innovative tech now where you can have kind of a sticker sheet on the front, but make it postcard style and send it to people so that it kind of has Stickers on the front that you can use, but then the information on the back. Little books, tiny brochures, things that are flip throughable is a great way to showcase your portfolio, which is something I've kind of been toying around with doing myself. So a brand book or a lookbook would be a great way to enter into the physical space from digital. So thinking about a portfolio leave behind, something that is really kind of substantial. Maybe it's not going through the mail, but it's something that you're dropping off when you're going to meet a client at their house. So we're working on this right now with Savvy Interiors, which is we're creating them for them a 24-page lookbook that is a combination of case studies, before and afters, like fluff pieces, like get to know us, get to know the team, and also practical information that someone would need to know if they wanted to engage for their services. So this then becomes something that is like a physical PDF that actually looks nice enough to maybe like leave on your coffee table, to flip through at your hair appointment, something that has that elevated editorial style, but practical information. And not something that goes in the mail, but something that they bring with them on a new client consult. This would be similar to like a buyer seller's guide for a real estate agent. We've done those with Falkirk and Gallagher. Print also forces us to make editorial decisions. What's going to make the cut? What is most important? And how do we curate the story, curate the information to the person who is receiving that information? So first would be some kind of direct mail piece. Maybe it's catalog, maybe it's magazine, maybe it's postcard, could be lookbook type deal in direct mail. And then from there, a brand book or a lookbook that's not mailed, but is still a print physical resource. We did this really effectively with Gallivant Society. So I know you guys have seen the reels that I've posted, but for each trip that Gallivant Society hosts, what Ali was doing previously was mailing people huge, huge, huge packets of information that were like 80 pages long. Plain text, some images, but mostly plain text, too much, too chewy, too crunchy. And a lot of the opportunity that was missed in that big long document was she couldn't hyperlink anything. So if she's explaining, hey, you need this visa to be able to go to India, click this link, follow these steps. That information is probably better hosted on a digital resource because there's links involved, there's steps involved, da 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 da. That being said, some of the more interesting stuff, like how to eat the food with your hands, or the tipping culture, or clothing and how to dress appropriately for traveling to different places. Those are good magazine type pieces. You'd find that in like a traveler's magazine, Sunset magazine, Home and Garden, like things that would belong in that editorial space. So what we did with all that information, imagine again, you get this like document of 80 pages. We segmented out what needs to live digitally and what can live physically, what can live in print, what can live in the magazine. And once we had those two things separate from each other, we made the two kind of look like the mirror image of each other. So you'll notice that the cover of the magazine is the same header of the web page. Now, when someone signed up for the trip, we made it so that they had a web page that was behind a password protection wall that had the actual information of where they were going each day, what tour they were going on, what they needed to bring with them, like real nitty gritty stuff. And then we mirrored that in the physical magazine. So about 2 weeks before each trip, we will order these print magazines. They'll get shipped to Ali. Ali will ship them out to the gals that are going on the trip. And when I tell you I got on the India trip and the women were saying, oh my gosh, I was so excited to get the magazine because I got to show my friends and family where I was going and what I was doing. And I think showing that and having something physical to be like, oh my gosh, can I tell you about this trip I'm about to go on? And be able to thumb through it together and come back and reference and resource. Heck, I brought that magazine everywhere with me on the trip because each day I wanted to see the itinerary again to remind myself where we were going, what we were going to be doing, and what it looked like. So that physical version of the itinerary becomes something that lives beyond the trip. If you've gone on other trips before, cruises, tours, etc., and they give you the itinerary, it's like 10 o'clock, meet here, 11:30, meet there, da 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 da. Fine, practical, useful on that trip, but then you throw it away. Versus the India magazine, the goal was to create something that someone wanted as a pseudo collector's item. What could live on their bookshelf, live on their coffee table, live in their kitchen, in their bathroom, on their bedside table as something that they wanted to come back to and thumb through because it was still useful to them. And we added a lot of those history chunks. We added a lot of that insider knowledge. We made it a resource that you could come back to over and over again. because it was so like beautiful visually and functional for the trip. But it had kind of that editorial, keep it around quality to it. The next print consideration, besides, again, brand books, lookbooks, and direct mail, is your packaging. And granted, not everyone that listens to this has a business that has any packaging, but packaging is a great opportunity to really connect brand to physical item. So, unboxing culture on social media, as we know, is a very legitimate marketing channel. Everyone loves to get a gift. So everything from your tissue paper to your insert card design to your exterior box, those can all be branded touch points. Yesterday, I went to a lunch and learn event hosted through Naturally San Diego at Veritiv, which is a packaging producer. And they walked us through all the opportunities in which you could custom brand not only your item, but the package that the item comes in, and then the larger box that that comes in, and then the shell that that one comes in, and then the corrugate that that one comes in, all the way out to like the exterior wrap of the thing when it's coming on and off of loading trucks. Like you can really create that brand connection in each of those instances. Granted, those will be scalable based on what your product is, but it makes me think of Avenue 8 and how much time and attention we spent on the packaging, how much time and attention we spent on not only what the can looks like, but what does the box look like? What does the 3 PR box look like? What does the single can PR box look like? What are all those different touch points and messages to make sure that all of that visually has the same consistency as the quality of the product? So what we're again trying to do with print, we're always trying to hold up a mirror to what is the quality of the product or the service and how do we reflect that in the printing. So for Avenue 8, that looks like one of our non-negotiables was having design on the inside of the box because she's an interior designer and she loves pattern and we love this maximalism look. We wanted the whole box of the 4 cans together to feel like you could stick a ribbon on the top and take it to someone's house and it was beautiful and it was well gifted. And I really learned that from our early days with Hotel Lobby Candle, of making something that has a physical quality to it that feels like it's not trash. If you've ever opened any kind of product box from Apple, whether it's iPhone or a MacBook or an iPad or whatever, that kind of slow release, that's by design. That's slow release box open, thicker cardboard, nice high quality printing, beautiful colors. It makes it feel like you cannot throw it away. And it plants the perception in your head that this is way more expensive than it actually is, even though all those things are expensive. But all of those little factors play into the perception of the brand and the perception of the quality. Also, because as much as we're talking about print as an antidote to digital, print materials in your digital content do help make the brand feel cohesive. So being able to capture iPhone native video, photo, etc. of product, physical product that is well branded and well designed, it kind of plants that seed of like, ooh, I want that. Ooh, I'm interested, right? So finding ways to bridge that gap. And in that instance, I think a lot about Dental Hygiene Nation. So with Dental Hygiene Nation, with the subscription box, we're all about creating theme and creating intrigue and designing, honestly, like really cool looking exterior boxes. Every time that we have a theme, Madison, our designer, she comes up with the most incredible exterior box design that fits what the quality of the items is on the interior or what the theme of the items is on the interior, and connecting that by creating, being like, ooh, what's that box that's on your doorstep? Ooh, I'm interested. Oh, that looks cool. Like I want to get my hands on that. And so we have kind of that visual cue that like, hey, this is worth opening. This is worth looking at before someone's even into the product itself, before they're even into the box. So that's really, really important. And I think that finding those touch points of things that people feel sentimentally tied to or feel, again, like you want to hold it, you want to have it, you want to keep it in your drawers and keep it in your bookcase and your shelf and keep coming to it. I think that when we're so used to interacting with brands purely digitally, that does help with your stickiness. It helps with your brand perception to have something that's printed that feels like it matches the quality of what you do. To go back to Hotel Lobby Candle as an example, that's the story of the key card. If you're unfamiliar with the brand, Hotel Lobby Candle is a home fragrance line inspired by hotel lobbies around the world. We helped them with their initial branding back in 2020. And then we stayed on and helped them launch a ton of candles. They then hired on a full-time employee, expanded into different SKUs and different product extensions. But one of the things that they've retained since we've started working with them was Lindsay had asked me to create an info card about how to care for your candle because she wanted to make sure that people were using good like candle etiquette, making sure that you're taking care of the wick and it's burning evenly and you're snuffing it correctly. And so when she told me this, she said, "Oh, we need an insert card." And when she said insert card, I took that as we need a hotel key card, obviously, to insert your card. So when you go stay at a hotel and they give you that plastic NFC chip card so that you can access your room, how cool to then make something for the candle brand that was an instructional card, which was more expensive, more complicated, and more convoluted than probably necessary for just the purpose of delivering the information. But the way that this is something that people remember because it's connected to the brand story and it has that like cutesy, kitschy, themey, campy quality that keeps people coming back. So we did the instructions on the key card with the logo on the front, instructions in the back, and then it comes in a sleeve, just like when you go to a hotel and they're writing your number on the sleeve saying, "Oh, you're staying in room 807, da da da." You have that paper piece and that connection of those two things with the candle and seeing people like be a collector of candles, have their stack. They're all written the same, but their stack of key cards is such a fun, again, like manifestation of the brand. It takes it into this fantasy world. It takes you into this world building that just continues to connect the brand to the people and the people to the brand with print. Moving forward with our examples of print and print ideas, think about your print and digital hybrids. I know that we're kind of tired of seeing QR codes and we're kind of over it when it comes to having to scan stuff all the time. I know I am, but they are functional. And I think QR codes and reminders to go do something digitally from the print piece is not a bad idea at all. So making sure you're creating those curated experiences and creating an opportunity to connect somebody from a physical thing that they get into your digital world, not a bad idea. I could see this being really useful on things like sticker sheets. You can also now, with our friends over at Sticker Giant plug, there's a code for you in the show notes. You can create back printing on your stickers so that the back of the sticker, you could have your business information and your QR code so that the front of the sticker is still functional. Sticker sheet would be referring to like multiple stickers on one page. You could think about, again, just ways to bring that customer experience, connect it to the digital without feeling like you're creating things that just immediately go in the trash. So I think stickers are great. Postcards that function like art prints, postcards that are interesting on the front, that don't have your logo on the front, that look like they have some kind of message or story to tell. Great idea. Other little mailer things would be stuff that you can send flat. Patches, stickers, bandanas. I mean, the silk scarves with Gallivant Society, for example. I would all kind of consider those in the print realm because you could send them by direct mail in a standard envelope. So think about what those things might look like. Maybe it's gift cards, maybe it's punch cards. I love a physical punch card in this digital world where you're racking up a gajillion points with a bunch of different platforms that you never signed up for and you get all their texts and their emails. Do a physical punch card. Why not? Why not? Or let the physical punch card be a way to track in addition to the digital thing. Like, could there be a hybrid scenario where you have both? But I think we're overlooking the opportunities to really have that connection between offline and in-person experience when it comes to creating like a digital or a print extension of your brand. And lastly, attention premium is something to pay attention to. A $4 postcard to 500 qualified people could outperform a $4,000 meta campaign, for example, because you're considering, again, your opportunity in the space, knowing that people don't really get a lot of mail all that often. You are doing something different than what everybody else is doing. And you're also just mirroring your online experience with your physical digital experience, or you're fusing your online experience with your in-person physical experience. Something that I've got on my to-do list that has just been sitting there, just absolutely haunting me, is that I've got a stack of postcards that say, "Cheers to another brag-worthy year." And every year that we have our business anniversary, I think to myself, I should really write out these postcards to people that we want to work with and say, "Hey, we've been keeping our eyes on you and we're celebrating this many years in business and we love working with brands like yours. If you ever need help with any of the things that we offer, hit us up." And now that I've said this on the podcast, I feel that I might have to do that. So that's on my list, as well as far as like an outreach opportunity and actually sending people snail mail, dropping off print things, dropping off little gifts and branded stuff. I think people love that they feel thought of. They love that they don't feel targeted. They love feeling cared for and not marketed at. And so print has a way of communicating all those things, I think, much more than digital. There are a lot of print things that you're going to want to keep in mind. Of course, if you are engaging with us for print, we're happy to walk you through the options. But there are so many more tools now than I think even before. Obviously, you can work with a printer locally. We always recommend that you do so, especially if you're planning on doing a lot of print pieces, starting to build a relationship with a printer in your area that you can see, touch, feel the product, know where it's coming from, be able to fix mistakes when they happen. All of that is great. But you also have a lot of possibility with online printing sources. We've been really impressed by Canva and their print quality, especially for the magazines, because they're already designed in Canva. So we're not having to create it in InDesign and then send it to a print house and da. Like, they've actually done a really great job with the Gallivan Society magazine. And so I'm happy to see where that goes. Postcards, business cards through Canva are great. We still love Moo for that like higher quality postcard. But for your stickers and any of your labels, anything like that, I mean, Sticker Giant, they're definitely our favorite. And like I said, they have been a past sponsor of the show, and now they offer a discount code in the show notes. So be sure to check that one out. Packaging, more complicated to do inserts and die lines and effects like embossing or debossing or foil, etc. Our team knows how to do all of that. That's not to say that you can't do it on your own, because you totally can. But if you're wanting help with things at that level, it's really important that you get a designer in the conversation with whoever the printer is sooner than later. Because the printer may even be able to call out like, hey, if you do it this way, you're going to save some money. Or if you do it like this, you're going to have a better output, yada, yada, yada. Making sure that the printer and the designer are in communication with each other is really important from the get-go. Some of my other insights from this Lunch and Learn I went to is that there is a lot of new innovation coming to the market when it comes to packaging and print materials. So thinking about multifunction, thinking about not just making trash for trash's sake, but you can print business cards on seed paper, where if you plant it, it'll grow plants. You can do recycled if that's aligned with your brand values. You can use all kinds of like literal microbiology that they're using to create better packaging that's more sustainable. So lots of more rabbit holes to fall down in that direction. And I'm looking forward to doing a deeper dive into all of that as well. And it really just is going to come down to like, where is your best return on your time and money spend? If you're spending time, effort, money, energy on social media and you're not getting a return from those efforts, at some point you have to pivot. Not to say you have to leave it behind, but at some point you might need to find another way to get that better brand connection. So maybe it is doing a print magazine, maybe it's doing a board game or playing cards or a newspaper. We've done that for some of our clients before. Maybe it's doing your sticker sheet. It's having some type of leave behind option that is more than just your business card and less than like an entire PR kit workup, but somewhere in the middle. What's that sliding scale of touch points of things that people could actually use and enjoy and feels like a lifestyle product and feels like it's naturally integrated into their life that they can credit towards your business? And I think that all of those opportunities and all that potential is very interesting to us right now. So plug, if you'd like help with any of that, please reach out on our contact form, mkwcreative.co/contact. But it goes hand in hand with kind of the conversation of merch as well. So the merch conversation podcast episode we had a few weeks ago, maybe brush up on that, brush up on print. I know I'm not the only one that's feeling a little fed up with like the online space right now. So take that for what it is. And maybe it's time to try your hands at print. Like I said, we'd love to help you out. Thanks again for listening. We will catch you next time. Don't forget, if you love this episode, to send it, save it, share it with a friend, leave a comment, subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube when you search Kiss My Aesthetic. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.